So, hello and welcome to our Meet the Organisation event. My name's Trish Kai. I'm the Volunteer Centre Manager here at Voluntary Action Reigate and Banstead, or VARB. With me is Lisa Faishka, who is the Chief Officer at VARB. And today we're joined by Zabian Fifield, who works at Marie Curie as the local volunteer service coordinator based in Surrey. And Zabian's going to tell us a bit more about Marie Curie and what to expect from volunteering with the organisation.
Hi there, good morning everyone. So welcome to Marie Curie's East Surrey Care Home Companion Service, which is the main thing I'm here to talk about today. I started working at Marie Curie about 4 months ago, and I am the Volunteer Service Coordinator for Surrey, and I was brought on to help launch a new service into East Surrey, and it's a companion service which is run by volunteers. So that's what I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. All right, so who is Marie Curie? I think most of you are probably familiar with Marie Curie. You probably see the bright yellow daffodil all over the place. We sell them in places like Superdrug, and the logo, which has been refreshed in the last year, is still very much sort of daffodil related. So we've got this sort of bright yellow and blue logo. Marie Curie is the largest charitable UK-wide end-of-life care provider. So we support anyone with a terminal illness, not just cancer, which some people think we deal with, but anyone with a terminal illness. And we provide lots of services. We're probably best known for our hospices, which we've got in some of the bigger cities around the UK. So we've got hospices up in Glasgow, Liverpool, Cardiff. So we cover sort of the whole of the UK. We used to have one in Caterham in Surrey, which was really well respected, and lots of people have a lot of loyalty to it. Unfortunately, it closed down about 10 years ago, but people still think sort of remember it, and they remember having friends or family who went there and were well cared for. But so we don't have a hospice as such in the area, but we provide hospice at home services in various parts of the country. We provide companion volunteers, bereavement support, and then we have a really fantastic website which has got lots of information. We provide also lots of printed information, and we have a really good free phone support line which anyone can access. You don't have to be already accessing any of our other services to be able to use the phone line. Our main aim is to close the gap in end-of-life care, because at the moment only 1 in 4 people get a decent end of life. And that is through lots of different reasons. Some people just don't have access to help in their sort of last months and weeks of life. Our aim is to make sure that everyone gets a good end of life. So as I mentioned, our sort of strategy is that we want to really build on our support for people and reach as many people as possible all over the UK, deliver even more services and practical support. So we hope to sort of double these and really help shape what end of life looks like. So we've been lobbying the new government to make sure that improvements in end of life are sort of right at the top of their agenda. So if we go on a little bit more detail about what we're actually doing here in East Surrey, we're setting up, as I mentioned, a companion service, and this is to be led by volunteers, and it's really for volunteers to go into care homes in East Surrey and build up relationships with people who quite often don't get very many visitors. They either don't have very many family members, or family members live quite a long way away, and they really miss that sort of connection with somebody else, and just really to have someone to talk to. And we're hoping, as well as having those just connections with people, also to support them with those what matters to me conversations, and help build on advanced care plans. Advanced care plans are something that most people haven't heard of, but they're a little bit like birthing plans. When you go into hospital, you have a baby, you have this a plan of your best case scenario of exactly how you would like your birth to go. And this is similar for death, when you put together your plan of exactly how you'd like that to happen, who you'd like to be surrounded by, where you'd like to die, even down to what kind of music you like to have to play, whether you want pets with you, whether you want sort of flowers in the room, that kind of thing, and to make sure that all those kind of wishes are recorded, so that when it does come to your last weeks, that the care home or the hospital, wherever you are, they have a really good idea of exactly how you would like your last days to be. And quite often these conversations are difficult to have with a family member, but if you can have that conversation with someone who might not be directly involved, such as a volunteer who's a companion, then I think that sometimes is really, really, really helpful. It takes the support of so it takes the pressure off the family, and it just gives the resident the chance to sort of speak freely. The idea is that we provide, as well as providing support to residents, also to staff and the families of those residents. At the moment, we're funded, or Marie Curie is funding this service up until April 2025, and we aim to launch initially in 3 care homes in Caterham, Merstham and Reigate, and potentially Warlingham as well. We're talking to someone in Warlingham, and then we'd like to sort of expand this across Surrey. So what can volunteers expect? We're hoping that they will be able to give their commitment to us up to 3 hours a week. We're sort of asking for at least 12 months. And we ask for that amount because there's quite a lot of training that goes into this. So we'd like to make sure that that volunteer, they receive the right amount of training, and that gives them the support so they can then hopefully go and support residents for sort of at least 12 months. As I said, we provide lots of training, both online and in person. They get a dedicated volunteer service coordinator, myself. We will also have regular one-to-ones so that they can discuss any issues that might have arisen. They're provided with travel expenses. So if they have to get a bus or a train, or even if they drive, they can claim back on petrol expenses. And then they'll receive invitations to volunteer events. So make sure that they feel like they're part of something bigger. Marie Curie is a massive organisation. And we've actually got an event coming up. We're opening up our new Caterham offices next month. So that's something that volunteers will be invited to. So we've been out and about doing quite a lot of community engagement, just trying to get the service known about, and try to sort of drum up a bit of interest with volunteers. So we had a volunteer recruitment day at our Caterham shop, where we're lucky to have a Marie Curie Caterham shop, which is a really lovely place, sort of real hub. Lots of people come in there who remember the hospice fondly, and they support it really well. So we had a couple of people who were really interested, and one of those volunteers is now successfully onboarding. I've also been to a few bereavement drop-ins, one at All Saints Church in Merstham, and I'm going to one in Caterham at the Westway Centre this afternoon. As I mentioned, we've got our open day on the 18th of September to celebrate the opening of the new Caterham office. We've been to Dorking's Job Fair. We had an open event at Coppisley Care Home in Merstham, which is one of the care homes that we're working with. Managed to meet the Mayor and Mayoress there. And we've also been to the Dorking Health and Wellbeing event. We also, at Marie Curie, run something called Life Cafes, which are interactive workshops for people to come along in a safe space and talk about life, the meaning of life, the end of life, and death. And it's a really good chance to kind of open up those conversations, which sometimes can be quite tricky, but we do it in quite a gentle way, and it just really helps people talk about their wishes for things like care going forward, and what is really important to them. So we've had 3 life cafes past few months at care homes in both Merstham and Caterham, and we had 37 people attend across the sessions, and this was a mixture of residents, staff, family members and volunteers. And we've got one coming up in St John's Church at their dementia group on the 7th of September in Caterham. They're a really good chance to sort of talk about your feelings, and we find that they're just really, really helpful. So that's something that ongoing that we're doing at the moment. We've also liked to try and gauge the impact for the volunteers. So rather than volunteers just think, oh, I just had a chat to someone, we had a cup of tea, we asked them to sort of think about the okay, so you might have had a chat, but how did that sort of actually impact the person that you had the cup of tea with? Did it mean that they had a chance to be heard? Did they have a chance to have a bit, social? Did it really help with their mental health and well-being, because they haven't had much chance to speak to other people recently? So we try and chart that. We ask volunteers to fill in a little form at the end of each session that they have with a companion, just so we can look back and say, yeah, this had a really good impact on this particular resident. Finally, we have a really good website, lots of information there, including a palliative care knowledge zone. But apart from that, there's lots of information that people can download. They can send away for booklets. They can look up information, and we've got our free support line as well. So I'd recommend for anyone who knows of somebody who is at end of life, or supporting someone that's end of life, or perhaps is grieving at the moment, that they have a look at our website, which is a really useful tool. Any questions or information, then very happy to be contacted at a later date, and I hope you found that really, really useful.
Thank you. Thank you. I've just got a few questions. You mentioned that you've got training. How long is that for?
Well, it's there's a little bit of online training, which can be, I mean, it amounts really to sort of a few hours. Well, I would say probably up to between 3 and sort of 5 hours.
Right.
And then we do an in-person training, which we do in groups. I mean, we can do it by teams, but we find that it's sort of better doing it in person. So that would be a day, but it would be a short day. It'd be sort of 10 till 3, something like that. So obviously we fit that around volunteers, and try and make sure that we get a group together, so it's a little bit more interactive.
And that's put on quite regularly, you said. So if
Exactly.
you've got a group of people, you'll put that training on.
Yeah, exactly. We would make sure we had a group. There's no point doing it just sort of a one-on-one, but we sort of, so it would be like every couple of months that we offer this. Okay.
And can someone with extra support needs volunteer with you?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they just have to let us know what extra support needs they need, and then we will make sure that we come up with a plan so that we can support them in whatever way they need.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. We want to make sure that we appeal to as many people as possible, from as many backgrounds as possible. People with obviously life experience is great. If you've supported someone in a home before, or you've supported someone at end of life, then brilliant. Or if you're a student in health and social care, and you want a little bit of extra experience, then that's great as well. So anybody really that feels that they've got something to offer, that obviously has empathy and wants to give back, that's what we're looking for.
And I'm thinking that you'll want references and a DBS check from the
Yeah, Exactly. Yeah. I would have a conversation with the volunteer first, and we'd have sort of an informal conversation about their experience, what they've done, and what they can expect from us, and then we would go through sort of a formal HR process whereby we would ask for references and then obviously DBS checks.
And your care homes are quite central, aren't they? So if a volunteer didn't drive, for example, they would be able to get public transport to the care
Yes.
homes
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
easily.
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. That's good.
I was just wondering what times you're asking people to volunteer, whether it's during the week or the weekends.
We can be flexible, but I think we have to bear in mind that with care homes, they tend to have sort of it tends to be sort of mid-morning and probably mid-afternoon, because they will have takes them a while to get ready in the morning, then they have a break for lunch, and then obviously they'd have an evening meal. So I would say probably mid-morning, mid-afternoon. But again, it's something we could sort of liaise with the care home. So what, what times would be best, and what would suit the volunteer. But I would imagine weekdays or weekends. Some care homes have set activities, others don't, so it's just a matter of, that's where I come in and sort of coordinate between the two.
Yeah, okay. And are volunteers sort of matched to people that have similar interests, or how does that work?
Yeah, that ideally that's what we'd like to do. If someone's really interested in music, or I don't know, arts or arts and crafts, or then ideally it would be lovely to match them up with someone with a similar interest. But a lot of them, they want to talk about anything really, so it doesn't really, it doesn't matter quite so much. But ideally we'd like to sort of match people up with similar interests. But as long as you're willing to listen, I think is what I've discovered when I've gone into the care homes. You're willing to listen, and some of them just want just have a chat about anything really. It can be about their background, it can be about their favorite hobbies, it can be about their family, or it can be about current events such as the Olympics recently, that kind of thing. So it's really to have to be able to listen really to what people want to talk about.
Great. Yeah. No, it sounds like a really worthwhile thing to do. Yeah. Do you have any other questions, Lisa?
No, I don't suppose you have any remote volunteering roles. It's all going to be face to face in
Yeah,
this companion role.
Yeah, this one specifically. I think elsewhere in the UK we have volunteers who can sign up to be companions over the phone. So if someone's interested in that, I can direct them to, it would be someone in possibly in different parts of the country. Not that that makes any difference when you're on the phone, but I can direct them to a different volunteer service coordinator. So that's not a problem. We have lots of opportunities. We have opportunities in fundraising as well. If people are interested in fundraising, I can always steer them towards the fundraising team. So we've got lots of opportunities within the organisation. This is something I'm specifically recruiting at the moment in this area, but if somebody would prefer something else, then by all means contact us, and I can direct them to who would be best.
Brilliant. Great. So yeah, thank you for telling us more about like Marie Curie and your sort of new volunteering roles. Yeah, it sounds like a really exciting thing, and great that we have got that so locally as well. So yeah, if anyone watching would like to find out more, like to get involved, do get in touch with us over the VARB website, and we can help you get started, get you in touch with Zabian, and get more information about volunteering. We have another Meet the Organisation event on the 18th of September as well. These events are free to sign up to. Great opportunity to ask your organisations any questions you might have. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you then. So thank you, Xavier, for joining us today. It's been really, really lovely to have you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.